what a name is.
Your name is...
I love your accent.
America.
Yes.
What? What kind of dog do you think it is, mate?
I wanted to meet a werewolf forever. Northeast.
Waller, we're on the beach and dry.
It's me!
What the fuck is Blackguard doing?
They're right behind me! Whoa! I'm the one who called you!
He's army. Waller, this is a tough group. You can make it.
Oh, TDK is the detachable kid?
The Suicide Squad doesn't ease you in. There's no gentle intro, no slow build. James Gunn grabs you by the collar and throws you straight into Bel Rev Penitentiary. And honestly, that's exactly the energy this whole movie runs on. Bel Rev isn't your average prison. The facility holds the worst of the worst, the kind of criminals that make regular maximum security inmates look like jaywalkers. We're talking metahumans, assassins, and straight-up psychopaths. Amanda Waller runs this place, and Viola Davis plays her with the same ice-cold ruthlessness she brought to the first Suicide Squad film, except this time, the script actually knows what to do with her. Waller's pitch is simple. These criminals get recruited for Black Ops missions in exchange for reduced sentences. Sounds reasonable until you learn about the explosive devices surgically implanted in their necks. Try to escape? Your head pops like a watermelon. Disobey orders? Same result. Waller holds the detonator, and she's got zero hesitation about using it. US. The movie wastes no time assembling what looks like our main team. Savant, played by Michael Rooker, appears to be the leader. He's got that grizzled mercenary look, the kind of character who usually survives these movies through sheer competence. Captain Boomerang returns from the 2016 film, bringing his Australian accent and his trademark weapon. Blackguard shows up looking like a discount superhero. Then there's Mongol, an alien warrior. Javelin carries his Olympic javelin like it's supposed to intimidate people. TDK has detachable arms that turn into weapons, which is actually pretty creative. And Weasel. King Shark might be the breakout character later, but Weasel deserves recognition for being absolutely nightmare fuel. He's this human-sized weasel creature that may or may not have killed 27 children. The team debates whether he can even swim. This debate becomes important very quickly. Harley Quinn's there too, because of course she is. Margot Robbie's back for her third appearance as the character, and you can tell she's completely comfortable in this role by now. She treats the mission briefing like a casual hangout, cracking jokes while Waller explains how they could all die horribly. Colonel Rick Flag joins as the military handler. Joel Kinnaman returns from the first film, and Gunn actually gives him a personality this time. He's the straight man in a circus of chaos, the only one taking this seriously while surrounded by people who are varying degrees of insane. The mission brief is straightforward. Puerto Maltese, a small island nation off South America, just had a military coup. The new anti-American regime controls something called Project Starfish at a facility named Jotunheim. Task Force X needs to infiltrate the island, destroy the project, and get out. Standard Black Ops stuff. Except nothing about this movie is standard. The team boards their transport plane at night. Everyone's geared up, weapons loaded, ready for war. Savant sits quietly, observing his squad. You can see him calculating, assessing threats, planning. Boomerang sharpens one of his boomerangs. Harley applies makeup because priorities. The mood is tense but focused. Then they're flying over Puerto Maltese waters. The plane doors open. Wind whips through the cabin. This is it. The moment where superhero teams usually strike a pose before jumping into action with perfect coordination. They hit the water. The beach landing begins, and everything goes sideways immediately. The Puerto Maltese military is waiting for them. Not just a patrol, not a small defensive force. The entire beach is lit up with spotlights, and soldiers swarm from every direction. Machine gun fire tears through the air before Task Force X even reaches the sand. Turns out Blackguard sold them out. He waves his arms at the soldiers, yelling that he's got the Suicide Squad, expecting some kind of reward. The military responds by shooting him repeatedly. He drops face first into the surf, dead before he realizes his betrayal didn't earn him anything. Waller watches all this unfold from her command center back in the States. Multiple screens show helmet cam footage from each team member. She's eating noodles, not stressed, not worried, just watching her assets get slaughtered while having dinner. The beach turns into absolute carnage. TDK tries to fight back with his detachable arms, firing at soldiers. A bullet catches him in the throat. He goes down choking on his own blood. Javelin actually manages to look heroic for a second, charging forward with his weapon raised. He takes multiple rounds to the chest and collapses. Before dying, he hands his javelin to Harley and tells her she's his queen. She looks touched, then confused. Then he's dead. Mongol, the alien warrior who should theoretically be one of their heaviest hitters, decides to fly. She grabs onto a helicopter, either trying to hijack it or just seeking higher ground. The helicopter pilot panics and crashes directly into the ground. The explosion engulfs Mongol entirely. She stumbles out of the flames for about 3 steps before a massive secondary explosion finishes the job. Captain Boomerang runs across the beach, boomerangs flying, actually managing to take down a few soldiers. For a minute, it looks like he might survive this. Then another helicopter swoops low, and its spinning blades catch him. The camera doesn't shy away from what helicopter blades do to a human body. Jai Courtney's character from the first film, dead within minutes of this one starting. This entire sequence takes maybe 10 minutes of screen time, and James Gunn has already killed off what appeared to be half the main cast. Savant watches his team die around him. This isn't a battle, it's a massacre. His combat instincts kick in, but they're screaming one message: run. He turns back toward the water, ignoring Flag's orders to hold position. Every survival skill he's learned says, get off this beach, get away from the bullets, swim back to that extraction boat they came from. He dives into the ocean, starts swimming. The sounds of gunfire fade behind him as he puts distance between himself and the slaughter. For a moment, he might actually make it. He's a strong swimmer. The boat's not that far. Waller's watching, though. She picks up a tablet, finds Savant's name on the roster. Her thumb hovers over his profile for half a second, then she presses it. The explosive in Savant's neck detonates. His head erupts in a cloud of red mist. His body sinks beneath the waves. Michael Rooker's character, built up as the apparent leader, dead because he tried to exercise basic survival instinct. Waller takes another bite of noodles. Back on the beach, Harley fights like the chaos incarnate she is. She's got Javelin's javelin now, using it like a spear, a club, whatever the moment needs. Soldiers surround her from all sides. She spins, strikes, dodges. For all her apparent randomness, Harley's actually an incredibly skilled fighter. She takes down 4 or 5 soldiers before the sheer numbers overwhelm her. They tackle her to the ground, zip-tie her wrists, and drag her toward a transport vehicle. Rick Flag disappears in the confusion. Whether he escaped, got captured, or died isn't immediately clear. The camera just loses him in the smoke and explosions. Weasel, that nightmare creature everyone debated about, hits the water and immediately starts drowning. Turns out he cannot, in fact, swim. He sinks beneath the surface, presumably dead. Phi. The mission is over before it really started. Task Force X is decimated. The survivors can be counted on one hand, and most of them are either captured or missing. Waller's staff looks horrified. They just watched multiple people die in real time, blown apart on a beach in a foreign country. Their boss displays zero emotional response. One of her subordinates asks if they should abort. Waller tells them to proceed to the next phase. Next phase? Cut to Corto Maltese. Different section of jungle. No soldiers, no gunfire, just thick vegetation and the sounds of tropical wildlife. 4 figures move through the underbrush with professional precision. They're not running, they're not panicking. They're advancing toward a target with clear tactical coordination. Meet the actual Suicide Squad. The beach landing was a diversion. Team A existed purely to draw attention, to make the Corto Maltese military think they'd stopped the incursion. While every soldier on the island focused on that beach, Team B inserted from a completely different location. They've been on the island for hours, maybe longer. Bloodsport leads this group. Idris Elba plays him with this exhausted professionalism, like a man who's extremely good at killing but really tired of having to do it. He's a mercenary, one of the best, and the only reason he's here is because Waller threatened his daughter Tyla. She's a teenager caught with an illegal gun. Waller promised to put her in Belle Reve for decades unless Bloodsport took this mission. So here he is, trudging through a jungle in a country he doesn't care about, for a mission he doesn't believe in, all to protect his kid. Peacemaker walks beside him, and John Cena brings this absolutely unhinged energy to the role. Peacemaker believes in peace. He'll achieve it no matter how many people he has to kill. That's not a joke or an exaggeration. That's literally his character motivation. He's a twisted patriot wrapped in a ridiculous helmet, and he's convinced he's the hero of this story. The tension between him and Bloodsport is immediate. They're both alpha personalities, both expert killers, both convinced they should be leading this team. Ratcatcher 2 moves through the jungle with her pet rat Sebastian perched on her shoulder. Daniela Melchior plays her with this gentle warmth that feels completely out of place on a Black Ops mission. Cleo Cazo is the daughter of the original Ratcatcher, inheriting his tech that lets her control rats. She's here because she was homeless and got caught sleeping in a bank she'd broken into. Not to rob it, just to sleep somewhere safe. She's the heart of this team, even if nobody realizes it yet. King Shark lumbers behind everyone else, his massive bulk making stealth difficult. Sylvester Stallone voices this humanoid shark, and they made the brilliant choice to play him as childlike and innocent despite being able to tear people apart with his bare hands. He doesn't fully understand what's happening. He just knows these people are his friends and he should follow them. He occasionally mentions eating people. Nobody's sure if he's joking. Polka Dot Man brings up the rear, looking like he wants to be literally anywhere else. David Dasmalkian gives him this deeply sad energy. Abner Krill has the power to throw explosive polka dots, which sounds ridiculous until you see them in action. He's also got severe psychological trauma involving his mother, who experimented on him as a child. He sees her face everywhere, on his teammates, on civilians, constantly. It's horrifying, and the movie plays it for both tragedy and occasional dark comedy. This is the real squad, not a team of obvious powerhouses and familiar faces designed to draw attention. A team of weird, broken, second-string villains that nobody would expect to succeed. Rick Flag emerges from the jungle and meets up with Team B. He survived the beach landing by never being there in the first place. He's been coordinating with this group from the start. Everyone exchanges brief greetings. Flag confirms Team A's status. Bloodsport asks how many survived. Flag's expression says everything. Bloodsport nods. He knew that was the plan. Doesn't mean he has to like it. Waller's voice crackles through their comms. She confirms the mission is proceeding. Their target is Jotunheim, a massive Nazi-era fortress converted into a research facility. Inside, the Corto Maltese government conducts experiments on something called Project Starfish. The team needs to infiltrate, destroy the project, and extract. Failure means their heads explode. Success means 10 years off their sentences. Peacemaker asks what Project Starfish actually is. Waller's response is vague. Some kind of experiment. Weaponizable. Dangerous in the wrong hands. The details don't matter. Just destroy it. The team moves deeper into the jungle. Night falls. They set up a temporary camp, and for the first time, we see them interact as people instead of assets on a mission. These moments are brief but crucial. Ratcatcher 2 tells the story of her father, how he was a criminal but a good dad. Bloodsport listens but doesn't share his own story. Peacemaker cleans his weapons with religious devotion. King Shark asks if they're friends. Polka-Dot Man sees his mother's face on everyone and quietly panics. They're a found family that doesn't know they're a found family yet. Just a bunch of criminals forced together by neck bombs and blackmail, heading toward a fortress full of soldiers and a secret experiment that might kill them all. The movie's played its hand beautifully. The beach massacre wasn't a failed first act. It was misdirection, showing us exactly how ruthless and creative this film is willing to be. No character is safe, no expectation is sacred, and the real story is just beginning. Dawn breaks over Corto Maltese with humidity so thick it feels like breathing through a wet cloth. Team B has been moving since before sunrise, navigating through dense jungle terrain that would slow down most military units. These aren't most military units. Bloodsport signals for a halt. Everyone drops to a crouch, weapons ready. Through the foliage ahead, a patrol of government soldiers passes by, maybe 20 feet away. King Shark starts to move forward, probably thinking about breakfast. Ratcatcher 2 puts a gentle hand on his arm and shakes her head. He settles back down, disappointed. The patrol moves on, oblivious. Flag checks his GPS unit and points northwest. Jotunheim sits about 15 miles from their current position. Between here and there, multiple military checkpoints, civilian towns, and terrain that ranges from jungle to urban sprawl. They can't just walk up and knock on the door. Peacemaker suggests they could. Just walk straight through the front, guns blazing, American style. Bloodsport stares at him like he's trying to determine if the man is serious or just stupid. Probably both. They need a way inside that doesn't involve fighting the entire Corto Maltese army. Flag mentions their intel asset. Someone called the Thinker works at Jotunheim as the lead scientist, Dr. Gaius Greaves, according to Waller's files. He's got high-level access to every section of the facility, including whatever room holds Project Starfish. Grab him, force him to cooperate, and they've got their way in. Where do we find this guy? Bloodsport asks. Flag pulls up a grainy surveillance photo on his tablet. The Thinker, played by Peter Capaldi with aged makeup that makes him look decades older than he is, apparently spends his evenings at a strip club called La Gatita Amable. Scientists need hobbies too, apparently. The plan forms quickly. Half the team tracks down the Thinker. The other half handles a different problem. Harley Quinn. Right. Harley got captured during the beach massacre, dragged off by Corto Maltese soldiers. Waller's last satellite intel showed her being transported to the presidential palace in Valle del Mar, the island's capital city. Flag wants to mount a rescue. Bloodsport argues they should focus on the primary mission. One person isn't worth risking the entire operation. She's one of us, Flag says, and there's weight behind those words. Bloodsport doesn't buy the sentiment, but he understands the tactical reality. Harley knows about their mission. Under torture, she might talk, might compromise their insertion. Better to extract her before she becomes a liability. They split up. Flag, Bloodsport, and Peacemaker will locate the Thinker. Ratcatcher 2, King Shark, and Polka-Dot Man will hang back, ready to provide support. Nobody mentions going after Harley immediately because there's no solid intel on her exact location or status. Here's what they don't know. Harley doesn't need rescuing. Valle del Mar's presidential palace looks like it was designed by someone who watched too many dictator movies. Marble everywhere. Gold fixtures. Paintings of the new Presidente plastered on every wall. General Silvio Luna runs this country now, having overthrown the previous regime in a military coup just weeks ago. Harley wakes up in a surprisingly nice room, not a cell, an actual bedroom with silk sheets and a view of the courtyard. Her weapons are gone, obviously, but she's not restrained. Confused, she explores. The door isn't even locked. Soldiers escort her to a dining room where Luna waits. Juan Diego Botto plays him with this earnest creepiness, like a man who genuinely believes he's being romantic while being completely terrifying. He set up a candlelit dinner, for two. He tells Harley he saw her during the beach landing, saw her fight, saw her beauty and her chaos. He's smitten. Most people would recognize this as a supremely dangerous situation. Harley sees an opportunity. She plays along, flirting back, laughing at his jokes. Luna talks about his vision for Corto Maltese, how he'll make the country great, how he needs a powerful woman by his side. He mentions Jotunheim and Project Starfish casually, like sharing state secrets is normal. First date conversation.uta. Harley learns more about the mission objective in one dinner than Waller's entire intelligence apparatus has discovered in months. Project Starfish is alien. It fell from space decades ago. The Americans helped set up the research facility to study it. Now Luna controls it, and he plans to use it as leverage against foreign powers. What kind of alien? Harley asks, twirling her hair. Luna describes something massive, powerful, dangerous, the kind of weapon that makes nuclear bombs look quaint. Scientists have been experimenting on it for 30 years. He gets excited talking about the power he now controls. Harley smiles. Inside, she's calculating. She's been in relationships with powerful, unstable men before. The Joker taught her what that path looks like, where it leads. Luna has all the red flags, control issues, delusions of grandeur, that specific kind of obsession that turns romantic declarations into death threats real quick. But she plays the role a bit longer, gathering information. Back in the jungle, Team B has problems of their own. They've reached the outskirts of Valle del Mar, and the city is crawling with military presence. The coup is recent enough that soldiers patrol every street, checking papers, enforcing curfew. Getting to La Gatita Amabel without being spotted requires precision. A local contact appears. Milton, a nervous man who works with the resistance movement, meets them at a predetermined location. Sol Soria sent him. She's the leader of the underground resistance fighting Luna's regime, though the team won't meet her directly until later. Milton knows the city, knows the patrol patterns. He can get them to the club.us. Who's Sol Soria? Peacemaker asks. Milton explains quickly. The previous government wasn't great, but it wasn't Luna. Sol Soria and her people want democracy, actual elections, freedom. Luna wants power. The resistance has been trying to undermine his regime since day one, but they're outgunned and outnumbered. They see Task Force X as potential allies, or at least enemies of their enemy. Flag thanks Milton for the intel. Bloodsport just wants to know the fastest route to the strip club. They move through Valle del Mar at dusk. The city is beautiful in that colonial way, colorful buildings and cobblestone streets, but military trucks rumble past every few minutes. Propaganda posters show Luna's face with slogans about strength and unity. Citizens walk with their heads down, avoiding eye contact with soldiers. La Gatita Amable sits in a seedier district. Neon signs, loud music, the kind of place where people go to forget their problems. The team sets up surveillance positions around the building. Flag confirms the thinker is inside, right on schedule. Apparently the man is a creature of habit. Waiting gives them time to talk. Peacemaker and Bloodsport's rivalry simmers constantly. They compare kill counts, argue about weapon choices. Peacemaker swears his skills are superior. Bloodsport counters with actual evidence of his marksmanship. The tension would be funny if they weren't both carrying loaded weapons. Flag mediates. Barely. He's dealt with bigger egos than these two. Barely. Hours pass. The thinker emerges from the club, drunk and stumbling. He's surrounded by guards, but only 3 of them. Manageable numbers. The team makes their move fast and efficient. Bloodsport's weapon transforms from a compact device into a sniper rifle. 1 guard drops with a tranquilizer dart. Peacemaker takes the second with a silenced pistol shot. Flag handles the third with a knife, quiet and brutal. The thinker barely has time to process what's happening before Bloodsport shoves a hood over his head and they're dragging him into an alley. Peter Capaldi brings this indignant fear to the role. Greaves sputters threats about diplomatic immunity, about how Luna will kill them all. Flag removes the hood and shows him the explosives they've rigged. Talk or die. Simple choice. The thinker's arrogance crumbles fast. He's a scientist, not a soldier. When faced with actual danger, he folds like cheap furniture. He confirms everything. Project Starfish, the experiments, his access to Jotunheim. He can get them inside, past security, to the exact location they need to reach. What is Project Starfish? Flag demands. The thinker's expression shifts to something like fear and awe mixed together. You'll see, he says, but once you do, you'll wish you hadn't. Cryptic answers earn him a rifle butt to the stomach from Peacemaker. Talk clearly or don't talk at all. Greaves explains between gasps. It's a creature. Alien. Massive. They call it Starro the Conqueror, though it hasn't conquered anything while locked in their facility. The experiments test its capabilities. Regeneration, reproduction, mind control through smaller starfish it produces. 30 years of tests have revealed horrifying potential. Bloodsport processes this. Mind control? The thinker nods. Anyone infected with a spore becomes an extension of Starro. They see what it sees, do what it wants. A single creature could theoretically control an entire city's population. Flag and Bloodsport exchange glances. This is worse than they thought. Way worse. The mission just escalated from destroying a weapon to preventing potential apocalyptic scenarios. Back at the palace, Harley's situation is deteriorating. Luna proposes marriage, not eventually, now, tomorrow. He's already planned the wedding. She'll be his queen. They'll rule Corto Maltese together. He shows her the dress he's had made. Harley looks at the wedding gown, white lace, traditional, the kind of dress that represents everything Luna wants to impose on her. Control, ownership, a role in his story rather than her own story. She sees the Joker in Luna's eyes, that same possessive obsession. The belief that love means control, that partnership means dominance. She's been here before, lived this nightmare, nearly died in it multiple times. This is beautiful, she tells Luna, smiling that dangerous smile she gets right before things get violent. Luna beams, takes her hand, talks about their future together, how she'll bear his children, how she'll stand beside him during speeches. Each word is another bar in a cage he's building around her. Harley's made her decision. She learned her pattern. Red flags. She sees them clearly now. And unlike her younger self, she knows exactly what to do when she spots them. Kill the guy showing them. The wedding is scheduled for the next evening. Luna leaves her with guards posted outside her room. For her protection, he claims. Harley counts them. 6 soldiers, manageable. She's got until tomorrow to plan her exit strategy. Team B regroups with the Thinker in custody. They've got their access key to Jotunheim, but they're still down 1 squad member. Flag checks in with Waller, requesting authorization to extract Harley before proceeding. Waller's response is cold and predictable. The mission takes priority. If Harley Quinn dies, she dies. Flag's here to complete the objective, not run a rescue service. Flag looks at his team. Ratcatcher 2 watches him with those kind eyes. King Shark asks if Harley is okay. Polka-Dot Man doesn't comment, but even he seems uncomfortable abandoning someone. We get her first, Flag decides. Then we hit Jotunheim. Bloodsport argues this is tactically unsound. Every hour they delay gives Luna's forces more time to prepare, more chances to discover them. Peacemaker sides with Bloodsport for once. Mission first, people second. Flag stands firm. We don't leave people behind. The tension could break either way. Then Ratcatcher 2 speaks up. My father used to say we're only as good as the people we refuse to abandon. Her voice is quiet but certain. Harley would come for us. That settles it. They plan a palace infiltration for tomorrow night. Grab Harley, get out, then proceed to Jotunheim with the Thinker's cooperation. It's ambitious, dangerous, probably stupid. Right on brand for the Suicide Squad. 24 hours can feel like forever when you're pretending to be in love with a dictator. Harley spends the day before her wedding playing the role perfectly. She compliments Luna's uniform, laughs at his jokes, lets him hold her hand while he gives speeches to his generals about national strength and foreign threats. Every smile is calculated. Every laugh is a weapon she's sharpening for later. Luna shows her the palace grounds like a proud homeowner. The gardens, the armory, the command center where he monitors his military operations. He's so eager to impress her that he doesn't notice her memorizing exit routes, counting guards, noting which doors stay locked and which swing open freely. Security around her loosens as the day progresses. Luna believes his charm has won her over. Why would she run? She's going to be queen. The guards start to relax too, treating her less like a prisoner and more like their future leader's bride. Fatal mistake. Evening arrives. Palace staff bring the wedding dress to her room. Harley holds it up, examining the intricate lacework. It's gorgeous, objectively speaking. Expensive, the kind of dress little girls dream about. She imagines herself wearing it tomorrow, standing beside Luna while he slips a ring on her finger, sealing her fate as his trophy wife. She throws it on the bed and starts planning murder instead. The palace provides makeup, jewelry, all the accessories a bride might need. Harley applies dark lipstick, studying her reflection. The woman staring back has been through this cycle before. Fall for the dangerous man. Ignore the warning signs. Realize too late that love and control got twisted together. Wake up one day and discover you've lost yourself completely. Not this time. She caught the pattern early. Luna showed his hand too fast, too eager. The possessiveness, the casual mention of her bearing his children like she's livestock. The way he talks about their future without ever asking what she wants. Red flags everywhere. Time to burn them down. A knock interrupts her thoughts. One of Luna's advisors enters, a nervous man carrying a small box. From El Presidente, he says in accented English. For tomorrow! Inside the box sits a diamond necklace that probably cost more than most people earn in a lifetime. Harley holds it up, watching light refract through the stones. Pretty cage, still a cage. Tell him I love it, she says sweetly. The advisor leaves. Harley weighs the necklace in her hand. Heavy, solid chain. She wraps it around her knuckles experimentally. Could work as a weapon in a pinch. She pockets it. Guards change shifts outside her door. She counts footsteps, voices. 4 now instead of 6. They're getting comfortable, sloppy. She gives it another hour, lets them settle into their routine, then makes her move. The bathroom window is narrow but manageable. Harley's squeezed through tighter spaces. She removes the decorative screen, tests the ledge outside. 3rd floor. Below, garden paths wind through manicured hedges. A patrol walks by carrying rifles, but their attention stays forward. They're looking for external threats, not escape attempts from inside the palace. Harley climbs through, balances on the ledge, and drops. She lands in a hedge, branches scratching her arms. Pain doesn't register. Adrenaline's already flooding her system, sharpening everything. She crawls through the garden, staying low, heading toward the section of wall she memorized earlier. A guard rounds the corner ahead, no time to hide. Harley springs up and drives her palm into his throat. He drops his rifle, choking. She catches the weapon before it hits the ground, then brings the stock up into his jaw. Unconscious, quiet. She drags him into the shadows and keeps moving. The palace interior beckons. She needs to reach Luna before attempting a full escape. Unfinished business. She slips through a servant's entrance, moving through corridors with the confidence of someone who belongs. Staff members pass her. Nobody questions why the Presidente's bride-to-be is wandering around in casual clothes the night before her wedding. Luna's private chambers sit on the opposite wing. Harley navigates there using the mental map she built during her tour. 2 guards stand outside his door. She approaches directly, smiling. "El Presidente asked for me," she says in terrible Spanish. The guards exchange glances. One shrugs and knocks. Luna's voice calls out permission to enter. They open the door for her. She walks in. They close it behind her. Luna sits at his desk reviewing documents, still in his military uniform. He looks up, surprised but pleased. "Mi amor, you should be resting. Tomorrow is our special day." "I couldn't sleep," Harley says, moving closer. Too excited. He stands, smiling that possessive smile. "I feel the same. Soon you will be mine completely." There it is, that word. Mine. Ownership. The thing men like him always believe they're entitled to. Harley reaches into her pocket, fingers closing around the diamond necklace. "I wanted to thank you," she says, "for the beautiful gift." Luna opens his arms for an embrace. "You deserve every—" She loops the necklace around his throat and pulls. Hard. Luna's eyes bulge. He claws at the chain, trying to get his fingers underneath. Harley yanks tighter, using her body weight as leverage. He's bigger, stronger, but she's got surprise and position. He stumbles backward, crashing into his desk. Papers scatter. He reaches for the pistol on his belt. Harley sees the movement and shifts her grip. Can't strangle him fast enough. New plan. She releases the necklace and grabs his pistol before he can. Luna gasps for air, one hand on his bruised throat. Harley points the gun at his face. "You've got red flags," she tells him. "All of them." She pulls the trigger. "You." Luna drops. Harley stands over him for a moment, breathing hard. The gunshot will bring guards, seconds until they burst through that door. She scans the room fast. His weapons collection decorates one wall. Swords, knives, guns, all displayed like art. Harley grabs a katana-style blade, testing its weight. Not as good as her baseball bat, but it'll do. The door slams open. Guards pour in, rifles raised. They see Luna's body, see Harley holding a bloody sword and a pistol. The moment freezes as everyone processes what happened. Harley shoots the first guard, then throws herself behind Luna's heavy desk as return fire shreds the furniture. Wood splinters explode around her. She counts shots, waiting for the pause when they need to reload. There. She vaults over the desk, sword swinging. The blade catches one guard across the chest. She shoots another point blank. A third tries to tackle her. She brings the sword down. He doesn't get up. More guards flood the hallway outside. Alarms blare throughout the palace. So much for stealth. Harley looks around Luna's chambers for alternate exits. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlook a courtyard. She fires her remaining bullets through the glass, shattering it, then runs straight through the opening. She falls one story into a decorative fountain. Water cushions the impact. She surfaces, soaked, just as guards reach the broken window above and start shooting. Bullets churn the water around her. Harley scrambles out and runs. The palace erupts into chaos. Soldiers mobilize from every direction. Someone killed El Presidente. Lockdown protocols activate. Every exit gets covered. Harley sprints through corridors, cutting down anyone in her path. The sword becomes an extension of her arm, finding throats and arteries with practiced precision. She reaches the main hall. 20 soldiers form a firing line. Way too many. Harley skids to a stop, looking for cover. A statue of some historical figure stands nearby. She dives behind it as gunfire erupts. Stone chips fly. The statue won't last long under this barrage. Then she remembers. Javelin's javelin. She grabbed it during the beach landing, and they let her keep it when they brought her to the palace. It should still be with her confiscated equipment. Where did they store that? The armory. Luna showed her during the tour. The armory sits 3 corridors away. Harley breaks from cover, running in a chaotic zigzag pattern. Bullets chase her but can't find their mark. She's too random, too unpredictable. She crashes through the armory door and spots her gear piled in a corner. The javelin gleams under fluorescent lights. Harley grabs it, feeling its perfect balance. Javelin told her she was his queen with his dying breath. This weapon is her inheritance from a man she barely knew who died believing she was royalty. She's going to honor that by using it to paint the palace walls red. Back in the corridor, she lets the soldiers see her. They take aim. She runs straight at them, which throws off their targeting. Nobody expects the target to charge. She hurls the javelin mid-sprint. It flies true, punching through one guard and into the man behind him. Harley doesn't slow down. She retrieves the weapon from their bodies and keeps moving. The escape becomes a running battle. Harley fights her way through the palace, leaving carnage behind. She's covered in blood, mostly not hers. Her hair is wild. She's laughing that unhinged Harley laugh, the sound echoing through marble halls. Guards corner her in the ballroom. Huge space, chandelier overhead, nowhere to hide. Maybe 30 soldiers spread out, surrounding her completely. Their commander orders her to drop the weapon. Harley spins the javelin, considering her options. Probably can't fight her way through 30, maybe 15. 20 on a good day. 30 is pushing it. The chandelier catches her eye. Massive thing, suspended by a chain. Decorative but functional. She throws the javelin upward. It severs the chain. The chandelier drops like a crystal meteor, crashing into the soldiers below. Glass and metal explode outward. Guards scatter. Harley uses the chaos to slip through their broken line and out the ballroom doors, almost to the exit. The main palace gate sits ahead, currently sealed. Harley searches for the control mechanism. A guard station nearby should have the override. She kicks in the door. The guard inside goes for his sidearm. She's faster, driving the javelin through his shoulder and pinning him to his chair. Gate controls, she demands. Now! He points with his good arm at a panel. Harley hits the button. The massive gates grind open. She retrieves her javelin and runs through just as the opening widens enough to squeeze past. Outside! Finally! Valle del Mar sprawls before her, city lights twinkling in the darkness. Behind her, the palace swarms with soldiers organizing a pursuit. She needs distance, needs to disappear into the urban maze. Harley runs down cobblestone streets, taking random turns. Her mental map of the city is fuzzy, but she knows generally which direction leads away from government control. The poorer districts, where Luna's regime hasn't fully consolidated power. Footsteps echo behind her. Pursuit teams. She ducks into an alley, catches her breath. Blood drips from a cut on her arm she didn't notice getting. Her stolen pants are torn. The javelin's tip is bent slightly from stabbing through so much bone and armor. She hears engines. Military trucks converge on her area. They're boxing her in, cutting off escape routes. Harley climbs a fire escape, reaching a rooftop. From up here, she can see the search pattern. Dozens of vehicles, hundreds of soldiers. They really liked their Presidente, apparently. A voice calls out from across the rooftop. Harley Quinn? She spins, javelin ready. 4 figures stand in the shadows. One steps forward into the moonlight. Rick Flag lowers his rifle. We came to rescue you. Harley looks at him, looks at the blood covering her clothes, looks at the chaos of military vehicles searching the streets below. She bursts out laughing. Little late, she says, grinning. Bloodsport steps up beside Flag, weapon ready. We noticed. The rest of Team B emerges from cover. Ratcatcher 2 smiles. King Shark waves enthusiastically. Polka-Dot Man just looks relieved he didn't have to storm the palace. Peacemaker seems disappointed he missed the violence. Did you complete the mission? Flag asks. Harley twirls the javelin. Killed the dictator, started a revolution, ruined a perfectly good wedding dress. She counts on her bloody fingers. Yeah, I'd call that a successful evening. Explosions rumble from the palace district. Something's burning. Probably multiple somethings. Flag doesn't ask for details. With Harley, it's better not to know. We've got the Thinker, he tells her. We're hitting Jotunheim tomorrow night. You in? Harley looks back at the palace, still swarming with confused soldiers trying to figure out what happened to their leader. She thinks about Luna, about red flags, about the pattern she finally broke for good. Yeah, she says, I'm in. The squad moves across rooftops, leaving the chaos behind. Harley's back, the team's complete, and tomorrow they assault a fortress to destroy an alien weapon. Just another Tuesday for the Suicide Squad. The safe house smells like mildew and gunpowder. Not ideal, but better than being hunted through Valley Del Mar's streets by what's left of Luna's military command structure. Team B holes up in an abandoned warehouse on the city's outskirts, courtesy of Milton and his resistance contacts. Harley cleans blood off the javelin using someone's discarded shirt. Ratcatcher 2 sits beside her, Sebastian the rat perched on her shoulder. You killed their president, Cleo says softly. Not judging, just stating facts. He had it coming, Harley replies, examining the bent tip. Guy wanted to own me like furniture. King Shark lumbers over, curious. Why would someone want furniture that moves? Harley grins. Exactly, buddy, you get it. Across the warehouse, Flag and Bloodsport argue in low tones about tomorrow's plan. Peacemaker checks his weapons obsessively. Polka Dot Man sits alone, staring at nothing, probably seeing his mother's face on the concrete walls. The Thinker remains zip-tied to a support beam, looking miserable and terrified. Milton returns an hour before dawn with another figure. She moves with purpose, confidence radiating from every step. Soldiers follow her inside, not Luna's forces, but resistance fighters wearing mismatched gear and determined expressions. Sol Soraya commands attention without demanding it. Alice Braga plays her with this quiet intensity, someone who's been fighting impossible odds for so long that retreat isn't even a concept anymore. She surveys the assembled Suicide Squad with calculating eyes, measuring their worth. You killed Silvio Luna, she says to Harley. Direct, no preamble. Guilty, Harley admits cheerfully. Sol's expression doesn't change. Good. He murdered hundreds during his coup. The country is better without him. Flag steps forward. We weren't trying to start a revolution. Our mission is. Jotunheim, Sol interrupts. Project Starfish. Yes, Milton briefed me. She moves to a table and spreads out hand-drawn maps of the facility. We've been trying to infiltrate that place for months. Luna's predecessor built it with American money. Now you want to destroy it. That's the assignment, Bloodsport confirms. Sol traces the fortress outline on her map. Jotunheim was Nazi-built during World War II. The Americans converted it into a research station in the 60s. Every regime since has used it for classified experiments. Whatever is inside, it's been there for decades. The Thinker speaks up from his restraints. 30 years. We've held Starro for 30 years. Everyone looks at him. He shrinks under the attention but continues. The Americans brought it here. Experimented on it. When they pulled funding, Corto Maltese continued the work independently. Why? Flag asks. Because Starro is the perfect weapon, the Thinker says. No army needed. Just release enough spores and you control the entire enemy population. They become extensions of its will. Sol's resistance fighters exchange nervous glances. This is worse than they imagined. One of them, a young woman carrying an AK-47, asks the obvious question. What happens if it escapes? The Thinker's silence answers eloquently. Bloodsport studies the Jotunheim maps. How many guards? 200 minimum, Sol replies. More since the coup. The new military council knows foreign governments will move against them eventually. They're fortifying every strategic asset. Peacemaker cracks his knuckles. 200 is manageable. For you, maybe, Polka Dot Man mutters. First thing he said in hours. Sol shifts topics. My people can provide support, create diversions, thin their numbers before your insertion. Flag considers this. Having local allies changes the tactical situation significantly. What do you want in return? Destroy Jotunheim completely, Sol says without hesitation. Every record, every experiment, burn it all. That facility represents foreign interference and dictator ambitions. Corto Maltese needs to start fresh, not inherit weapons from the old regime. Sounds reasonable. Flag extends his hand. Sol shakes it. Alliance formed. The next hours blur together. Planning. Equipment checks. Rest when possible. Harley crashes on a pile of tarps and sleeps like the dead for 4 hours. Ratcatcher 2 sits with her rats, whispering to them. King Shark asks repeated questions about whether everyone is still friends. Bloodsport field strips and reassembles his modular weapon system so many times it becomes meditative. Peacemaker approaches Flag during a quiet moment. You trust these people? Meaning the resistance. More than I trust Waller, Flag admits. Waller's the one who signs our paychecks, metaphorically. Flag gives him a look. Waller's the one who put bombs in our heads and sent half a team to die as a distraction. Where does your loyalty actually sit? Peacemaker's jaw tightens. With peace, whatever achieves it. And if peace requires doing the right thing instead of following orders, No answer. Peacemaker walks away, and Flag suspects that conversation will come back to haunt them later. Soul's resistance proves more capable than expected. By mid-afternoon, they've assembled detailed intel on Jotunheim's current security status, guard rotations, weapon placements, blind spots in their surveillance. One of her scouts even provides photographs taken from a distance, showing the fortress in brutal detail. Jotunheim looks exactly like its name suggests, a giant's fortress, massive stone walls, guard towers at each corner, single main entrance designed to channel attackers into kill zones. The place was built to withstand sieges. Walking through the front door would be suicide. Underground approach? Bloodsport suggests. Soul shakes her head. Sewers were sealed during renovations. Only way in is through the gate or over the walls. The thinker clears his throat. There's a service entrance, north side, used for supply deliveries. Everyone turns to him. He wilts under the attention but continues. I can get you through. My credentials still work. I was supposed to return yesterday, but he gestures at his restraints. Obviously didn't make it. Flag crouches in front of him. You walk us in. Provide access to wherever they're keeping Starro. Then you can run. Fair? How do I know you won't kill me anyway? You don't, Flag admits. But you definitely know we'll kill you if you don't cooperate. The thinker weighs his options, which aren't great. Service entrance. Tonight, I'll get you inside. The plan takes shape. Soul's fighters will stage an attack on the main gate, nothing massive, just enough to draw guards away from other sections. While Jotunheim's security focuses on the obvious threat, Task Force X infiltrates through the service entrance with the thinker's access. Once inside, they split up. Some plant explosives throughout the facility. Others head straight for Starro's containment area to ensure the creature dies when the building comes down. Simple, direct, probably doomed. Harley raises her hand like a student. Quick question. What if the giant alien starfish doesn't want to die quietly? Valid concern. Nobody has a good answer. We improvise, Flag says. My favorite strategy, Harley grins. Dusk settles over Valle del Mar. The city still buzzes with military activity following Luna's assassination. Soldiers patrol aggressively, stopping civilians, checking vehicles. The power vacuum left by the Presidente's death has the government council paranoid about further attacks. Good. Paranoid people make mistakes. Soul's resistance moves through the city using hidden routes, tunnels, safe houses, networks built over months of operating under authoritarian rule. They position fighters around Jotunheim, ready to create chaos on signal. Task Force X travels in a commandeered military truck, courtesy of resistance fighters who ambushed a patrol earlier. The thinker sits between Flag and Bloodsport, looking like he might vomit. Harley practices twirling her javelin in the cramped space. Ratcatcher 2 keeps Sebastian hidden. King Shark barely fits, his bulk taking up most of the truck bed. Polka-dot Man stares at his hands, probably seeing his mother's face there. Peacemaker drives, because of course he does. Man volunteers for everything. The truck approaches Jotunheim as night fully arrives. Spotlights illuminate the fortress walls. Guard towers track their vehicle with mounted guns. The whole place radiates menace. This is insane, the thinker whispers. First time? Harley asks cheerfully. They reach the service entrance, a reinforced gate on the north side, less fortified than the main entrance but still serious. Guards approach the truck, demanding identification. The thinker leans out the window, showing his credentials and explaining he's been detained by the chaos in the city. The guards examine his ID, then wave them through. That easy! Sometimes the best infiltrations are the boring ones. The truck passes through 2 more checkpoints inside the compound. Each time, the thinker's credentials work like magic. Apparently, lead scientists carry significant authority. The guards barely glance at the truck's cargo area, where the rest of the team hides under tarps. They park in a loading bay. The thinker leads them out, trying to act natural while surrounded by armed killers. Jotunheim's interior matches its exterior. Cold stone, harsh lighting, the aesthetic of a place built for function over comfort. Where's Starro? Flag asks quietly. The thinker points toward a corridor. Sub-level 5, but you need keycards to access the elevators. And biometric scans. And we'll improvise. Bloodsport cuts him off. A patrol rounds the corner. 6 guards, rifles ready. They spot the squad and immediately recognize something's wrong. The thinker isn't supposed to have heavily armed Americans with him. The guards raise their weapons. Bloodsport's faster. His modular gun shifts configurations mid-draw, becoming a shotgun that takes down 3 guards before they can fire. Peacemaker drops 2 more with precise headshots. Flag handles the last one with a combat knife. So much for stealth. Alarms blare throughout Jotunheim. Red lights flash. Somewhere, someone is alerting the entire facility that they have intruders. Improvising! Harley shouts, charging down the corridor. The rest follow because what choice do they have? The mission just went loud. Now it's a race plant the explosives and find Starro before the entire Corto Maltese military descends on their position. Gunfire echoes through stone corridors. Outside, Soul's resistance launches their diversionary attack right on schedule. Explosions rock the main gate. Jotunheim's defenders split their attention between external assault and internal infiltration. The Suicide Squad does what it does best, creates chaos and survives it. They fight deeper into the fortress, past guards and security stations, following the Thinker's directions toward the lower levels where something massive and alien waits in containment, waiting 30 years to be free, waiting to show the world what a conqueror looks like. They're going to meet Starro, and nothing will ever be the same after that. Concrete and steel define Jotunheim's interior. Every surface is hard, cold, designed to contain rather than comfort. The squad moves through corridors that echo with their footsteps and the distant sounds of Soul's resistance pounding on the main gate. The Thinker leads them to a stairwell. Elevators will be locked down during the alarm. Stairs are faster anyway. 5 levels down. Bloodsport counts the floors as they descend, weapon ready. Each landing brings new security doors, each one bypassed with the Thinker's credentials. The man's hands shake so badly he can barely swipe his keycard, but fear makes him cooperative. They reach sub-level 3. Flag signals a halt. We split here. Bloodsport, Peacemaker. You two plant charges on the main support columns. Polka Dot Man goes with you. His dots pack enough punch to bring down sections they can't reach. Bloodsport nods, already calculating structural weak points. Peacemaker checks his pack of C4 explosives. Ratcatcher, King Shark, Harley, you're with me, Flag continues. We're going to Starro, see what we're actually dealing with. The Thinker points down another corridor. Continue to sub-level 5. Main containment is at the end of the hall. You can't miss it. You're coming with us, Flag tells him. I'd really rather not. Flag's expression makes it clear this isn't negotiable. The Thinker swallows his protest. The teams split. Bloodsport's group heads toward the facility's central infrastructure, moving with military precision. Flag's team descends 2 more levels, and the atmosphere changes. The air grows humid, warmer. Something biological lives down here, something that affects the environment around it. Harley notices it first. Anyone else getting serious horror movie vibes? King Shark sniffs the air. Smells like ocean and fear. That's oddly poetic, buddy, Harley says. Sub-level 5 stretches before them, a long corridor ending in a massive reinforced door. Warning signs in multiple languages plaster the walls. Biohazard symbols, radiation warnings, notices about authorized personnel only, the kind of signs that make smart people turn around. The Suicide Squad keeps walking. Guards appear from a side room. 8 of them, fully armored. They open fire immediately. Flag and his team dive for cover behind support pillars. Bullets ricochet off stone and metal. Ratcatcher 2 sends Sebastian scurrying through ventilation ducts with a whispered command. Within seconds, rats pour from every opening. Dozens, then hundreds. The guards scream as rats swarm over them, biting exposed skin, crawling under armor. They drop their weapons, trying to brush off the flood of rodents. Flag doesn't waste the opportunity. Clean headshots drop 3 guards. Harley charges in with her javelin, using the chaos to get close. 2 more guards go down. King Shark grabs the remaining guards and slams them together like cymbals. Silence returns except for the skittering of rats retreating back into the walls. Thanks, Cleo, Flag says. Ratcatcher 2 smiles softly, Sebastian returning to her shoulder. Sebastian says you're welcome. They reach the reinforced door. The Thinker's keycard grants access, but his hand hovers over the biometric scanner. Once you see it, you'll understand why some things should stay locked away. Open it, Flag orders. The door unseals with hydraulic hisses. Air pressure equalizes. The smell intensifies, brine and something alien, something that doesn't belong to Earth's biology. The containment chamber beyond defies easy description. Massive, cathedral-sized, the ceiling stretches 3 stories high. Equipment lines the walls, monitors, injection systems, drainage pumps. Scientists in hazmat suits flee when they spot armed intruders, abandoning their stations. And in the center, suspended in a transparent tank filled with murky liquid, hangs Starro the Conqueror. Calling it large doesn't capture the reality. The creature is a living building, a starfish the size of a city block, its body easily 40 feet across. 5 massive arms extend from a central disc where a single eye stares out. An eye with intelligence, with awareness, with hate. Harley stops walking. Holy hell! King Shark tilts his head, confused. Friend? Definitely not friend, Flag says quietly. Tubes pierce Starro's body everywhere, extracting samples, injecting compounds. Electrodes measure brain activity. The creature has been turned into a living experiment, subjected to 3 decades of testing. Scars crisscross its alien flesh. Parts of it look withered where scientists have harvested tissue. The eye tracks their movement. Starro sees them. Ratcatcher 2 moves closer to the tank, and her expression shifts to horror. It's in pain. It's been in pain for years. It's a weapon, the Thinker says from behind them. A tool, nothing more. It's alive, Cleo counters, and they've tortured it. Flag studies the monitoring equipment. Data scrolls across screens. Regeneration rates, spore production, neural mapping. The research is extensive, decades of work documented in meticulous detail, and in the corner of one screen, a logo, American Government, Department of Defense. The U.S. did this, Flag says, his voice tight. We brought it here, started the experiments. The Thinker nods. The Americans captured Starro in 1991, brought it to Jotunheim because the facility was off the books, beyond oversight. When Congress found out and threatened to shut it down, they officially withdrew. Unofficially, the funding continued through shell companies. Corto Maltese took over direct operations, but American interests always guided the research. Flag's jaw clenches. He's fought for his country his whole life, believed in the mission. The idea that his government has been conducting illegal alien experiments and torture for 30 years shakes something fundamental in him. An explosion rocks the building. Bloodsport's team must be placing charges. The sound startles everyone. Starro's eye narrows. The creature shifts in its tank, and the liquid sloshes violently. Harley backs away. Should it be moving like that? Alarms blare. Different from the intruder alert. This is a containment warning. Screens flash red. The Thinker's face goes pale. You need to leave. Now. We're here to destroy it, Flag says. That's the mission. The mission is wrong, Ratcatcher 2 says suddenly. Everyone looks at her. She points at Starro. Look at what they've done. This creature fell from space. Didn't attack anyone. Didn't threaten Earth. Humans captured it and tortured it for 3 decades. We're not destroying a weapon. We're executing a victim. Harley considers this. She's got a point. Thing hasn't actually hurt anyone except the people who've been stabbing it with needles. Flag runs his hand over his face. The moral calculus is shifting. Waller's orders were clear. Destroy Project Starfish. But those orders were based on the assumption that Starro was a threat. What if the real threat is the people who've been experimenting on it? There's more, the Thinker says reluctantly. He walks to a computer terminal and pulls up classified files. The experiments didn't stop at studying Starro. They tested its mind control capabilities on human subjects, political prisoners, dissidents, anyone the regime wanted to disappear. People with smaller starfish attached to their faces, their eyes blank and lifeless. Test subjects turned into puppets. Some of the images are recent. This wasn't just historical evil, it's ongoing. Flag's radio crackles. Bloodsport's voice comes through. Charges are set. We're ready to level this place on your signal. Flag doesn't respond immediately. He looks at Starro, at the monitoring equipment, at the evidence of decades of torture and experimentation. Then he looks at the computer terminal with all the classified files. We need this data, he says. Evidence of what happened here. The world needs to know. The Thinker shakes his head. That information implicates the United States government, high-level officials, defense contractors. Releasing it would trigger an international incident. Your superiors will never allow it. Not asking permission, Flag replies. He pulls a portable drive from his tactical vest and hands it to Ratcatcher 2. Copy everything, all the files. She takes it, moving to the terminal. Her fingers fly across the keyboard. Progress bars crawl across the screen as gigabytes of classified data transfer. Footsteps echo from the corridor. Reinforcements. Jotunheim security has finally organized a proper response to the infiltration. Voices shout orders in Spanish. Boots pound on concrete. Harley positions herself at the door, javelin ready. King Shark cracks his knuckles. Flag checks his ammunition. They've got maybe 30 seconds before that corridor fills with soldiers. The data transfer reaches 70%. Too slow. They need more time. Polka Dot Man's voice crackles over the radio, panicked. We've got a problem. Guards found us. Peacemakers handling it, but we're pinned down near the support columns. Everything is falling apart. The plan was surgical. Get in, plant explosives, destroy Starro, get out. But now Flag's trying to expose government secrets. Bloodsport's team is under fire, and Starro is moving in its tank with increasing agitation. 80%. The download continues. Soldiers flood into the containment chamber. 20, 30 of them. They take positions behind equipment using the scientific instruments as cover. A standoff forms. Both sides armed, both sides ready, neither able to advance without triggering a massacre. An officer shouts demands. Drop weapons! Surrender! Standard negotiation attempts. Flag ignores him, watching the progress bar. 90%. The officer gives an order. Soldiers take aim. 95%. The soldiers fire. Flag and his team return fire from behind Starro's tank. Bullets puncture equipment. Sparks fly. Monitors explode. One round cracks the tank's transparent wall. Just a small crack, but liquid starts seeping through. 98%. Another explosion shakes Jotunheim, bigger this time. One of Bloodsport's charges must have detonated prematurely. The building shudders. Support beams groan. The crack in Starro's tank widens. 100%. 100%. Download complete. Ratcatcher 2 pulls the drive and pockets it. Got it. Flag keys his radio. Everyone converge on sub-level 5. We're extracting now. The crack in the tank spreads like a spiderweb across the transparent surface. Liquid gushes out, flooding the containment chamber floor. Starro thrashes, sensing freedom. Its massive arms press against the weakening barrier. The soldiers stop firing, realizing the danger. Their officer screams orders to fall back. Everyone runs for the exit because the tank is failing, and when it goes, tons of liquid and one very angry alien creature will be unleashed. Flag grabs Ratcatcher 2 and runs. Harley and King Shark follow. The Thinker stands frozen, watching his life's work collapse. Flag reaches back and yanks him along. They make it to the corridor just as the tank shatters completely. Glass and liquid explode outward. Starro falls from its containment, hitting the ground with a wet, massive impact that cracks the concrete floor. The creature lies there for a moment, still. 30 years of captivity. 30 years of torture. Then the massive eye opens fully, unobscured by tank walls or murky liquid. Starro the Conqueror sees clearly for the first time in decades, and it remembers everything. Starro rises. The movement is slow at first, alien muscles remembering how to function outside containment. Water cascades off its massive body as it lifts itself upright, 5 enormous arms finding purchase on the concrete floor. The central eye swivels, taking in the laboratory that has been its prison. Soldiers scramble backward, firing wildly. Bullets plink off Starro's thick hide like rain on pavement. The creature doesn't even acknowledge the assault. 3 decades of injections and electrodes have made it immune to pain, or perhaps it simply doesn't care anymore. One of Starro's arms sweeps across the room. The gesture looks almost lazy. It crushes scientific equipment like paper, sending monitors and computers exploding across the floor. A dozen soldiers vanish beneath the limb, their screams cut off abruptly. Flag pulls his team back through the corridor, boots splashing through ankle-deep water. Behind them, containment chamber walls crack as Starro tests its strength against the architecture. Did we just make things worse? Harley asks, running beside him. Way worse, Flag admits. They reach the stairwell where Bloodsport's team waits. Peacemaker leans against the wall, breathing hard. Blood stains his uniform, not his. Polka Dot Man looks ready to collapse. Bloodsport reloads his weapon with practiced efficiency. Charges are planted, Bloodsport reports. Soon as we're clear, this whole place becomes rubble. Another tremor shakes Jotunheim. Dust falls from the ceiling. Somewhere below, Starro is breaking free of its prison, tearing through reinforced walls like tissue paper. The Thinker sags against the railing. You've doomed us all. Starro will kill everyone on this island. Then we blow the building with it inside, Peacemaker says coldly. Problem solved. Flag shakes his head. We're taking the evidence, exposing what happened here. Peacemaker's expression shifts. Something hardens behind his eyes. That wasn't the mission. Mission parameters changed, Flag replies, helping Ratcatcher 2 to her feet. She still has the drive with all the classified files clutched tight in her hand. Waller's orders were clear, Peacemaker continues. Destroy the project. No exceptions. No complications. Waller doesn't give a damn about right and wrong, Flag shoots back. Just covering up American crimes. The team starts climbing stairs, racing toward ground level. Explosions echo below them, not their charges, but Starro destroying its containment level. Each blast sends shockwaves through the structure. They reach sub-level 2. Peacemaker keys his radio, speaking quietly. Flag catches part of it, something about securing the asset. Eliminating complications. The language is wrong, too formal, too specific. Flag stops climbing. Who are you talking to? Peacemaker turns, and his weapon is already rising. Waller gave me secondary orders. Insurance, she called it. If the mission got compromised, I'm authorized to protect American interests. By any means necessary. Everyone freezes. Bloodsport's hand moves toward his rifle. Harley shifts her javelin. King Shark growls low in his throat. The evidence stays buried, Peacemaker says. That's non-negotiable. Flag steps between Peacemaker and Ratcatcher 2. We're exposing this. The world deserves to know what was done to that creature, what was done to people. You're thinking like an idealist, Peacemaker counters. I'm thinking like a patriot. America's enemies will use this information to destroy us. Diplomacy will collapse. Alliances will fracture. People will die because you wanted to feel righteous. People died because we tortured an alien for 30 years. The philosophical divide between them has been building since they met. Now it explodes into open conflict. Flag believes in doing the right thing even when it's hard. Peacemaker believes in protecting America even when it requires evil. Give me the drive, Peacemaker demands, looking past Flag to Ratcatcher 2. She clutches it tighter. No, Peacemaker's weapon swings toward her. Flag moves faster, knocking the barrel aside. The shot goes wide, punching through the stairwell wall. Then they're on each other, close quarters combat in a confined space. Peacemaker is skilled. Enhanced reflexes, brutal training, complete commitment to violence. He drives Flag backward with a series of strikes targeting pressure points and joints. Flag blocks, counters, looking for openings. They crash against the railing, metal creaking under their combined weight. Stand down! Bloodsport shouts, weapon trained on both of them. He can't get a clean shot without risking Flag. Peacemaker breaks Flag's guard and slams an elbow into his ribs. Bone cracks. Flag grunts but doesn't yield. He grabs Peacemaker's helmet and wrenches it sideways, breaking the seal. Peacemaker stumbles, half blinded. The rest of the team watches, uncertain. Interfering could make things worse. King Shark looks to Ratcatcher 2 for guidance. She shakes her head. This is between Flag and Peacemaker, between two philosophies fighting for supremacy. Flag lands a solid punch that snaps Peacemaker's head back. Blood sprays from a split lip. Peacemaker responds by drawing a combat knife and driving it toward Flag's throat. Flag catches his wrist, stopping the blade inches from his jugular. They strain against each other, muscles trembling, neither giving ground. The mission is bigger than you, Peacemaker hisses. The mission is exactly me, Flag replies, doing what's right when no one else will. He twists Peacemaker's arm, forcing him to drop the knife. It clatters down the stairs. For a moment, Flag has the advantage. He could end this. One quick strike to the throat. Peacemaker would go down and stay down. Flag hesitates. They're teammates, brothers in arms, forced together by circumstance but still connected. He doesn't want to kill someone he's fought beside. Peacemaker has no such hesitation. His backup pistol clears its holster in a smooth motion. The barrel presses against Flag's chest. I cherish peace with all my heart, Peacemaker says quietly. I don't care how many men, women, and children I need to kill to get it. He fires. The gunshot echoes in the stairwell. Flag's eyes widen. He looks down at the spreading red stain on his uniform, looks back up at Peacemaker's face, seeing the cold certainty there. Ratcatcher 2 screams. Bloodsport's rifle swings toward Peacemaker, but he's too slow, too shocked by what just happened. Flag collapses. Peacemaker catches him, almost gentle, lowering him to the concrete. Joel Kinnaman's character, the moral center of the team, bleeding out on a stairwell in a collapsing fortress. Rick, Flag manages, looking up at his killer. You're wrong about this. Maybe, Peacemaker admits, but I'm following orders. Flag's hand reaches toward Ratcatcher 2, or the drive she's holding. Don't let them bury it! His hand drops. Rick Flag dies protecting truth instead of following orders. Dies believing doing the right thing matters more than national interests. Peacemaker stands, facing the shocked team. The drive! Now! Ratcatcher 2 backs away, tears streaming down her face. Sebastian squeaks from her shoulder, sensing her distress. Harley steps in front of her, javelin raised. You just killed one of ours, Harley says, voice deadly calm. Following orders, Peacemaker repeats. Same as all of you should be doing. Bloodsport's weapon stays trained on him. You move toward Cleo, and I drop you where you stand. Standoff. 3 seconds of frozen tension where anything could happen. Then the building shakes violently. Worse than before. The explosives Bloodsport planted are reacting to the structural damage Starro is causing. Chain reactions rippling through Aitenheim's foundations. Polka Dot Man panics. He's been barely holding himself together, seeing his mother's face on everyone, dealing with the trauma that's defined his entire life. The pressure breaks him. His powers activate involuntarily. Polka dots erupt from his skin, launching in every direction. One hits a support column. The explosive impact tears through reinforced concrete. The column shatters. No! Bloodsport shouts, but it's too late. The building begins to collapse in earnest. Ceiling panels rain down, walls crack vertically. The charges they planted get triggered by falling debris. Explosions blossom throughout Jotunheim, each one feeding the next. Everyone runs. No more standoff, no more conflict, just pure survival instinct as the fortress tears itself apart. They sprint up the remaining stairs. Sub-level 1, ground floor. The main entrance visible ahead through smoke and dust. Soul's resistance fighters have breached the gate, trading fire with government soldiers in the courtyard beyond. Peacemaker moves behind Ratcatcher 2 as they run. His hand goes to his pistol. One shot. That's all he needs. Kill her, take the drive, complete Waller's secondary mission. Bloodsport sees the movement in his peripheral vision. Combat instincts honed over decades of mercenary work make the decision for him. His modular weapon shifts configuration, becoming a sniper rifle. He doesn't think, just reacts. The shot catches Peacemaker center mass, punching through his combat vest. John Cena's character goes down hard, sliding across debris-covered floor. The pistol falls from his hand. Bloodsport doesn't stop to confirm the kill. He grabs Ratcatcher 2's arm and pulls her toward the exit. Move! The team bursts out into the courtyard. Night air hits their faces, thick with smoke from burning vehicles and destroyed guard towers. Soul's fighters wave them toward the perimeter. An escape route through the chaos. Behind them, Jotunheim implodes. The fortress that stood for 80 years, that housed Nazi commanders and American scientists and dictator ambitions, collapses inward. Floors pancake on top of each other. Walls fold like cards. Dust and debris mushroom outward, forcing everyone to shield their faces. When the rumbling stops, Jotunheim is gone. Just rubble. Tons of concrete and steel and broken equipment forming a mountain of destruction. The team stands at the perimeter fence, catching their breath. Harley leans on her javelin. King Shark sits down heavily. Polka Dot Man stares at his hands, horrified by what his panic caused. Bloodsport helps Ratcatcher 2 stay upright as she processes everything. Flag is dead. Oars. Peacemaker is buried under tons of rubble. The building is destroyed. Project Starfish is. The rubble shifts. Everyone freezes. Soldiers, resistance fighters. The entire courtyard watches as massive chunks of concrete begin moving. Something underneath is pushing up, forcing its way through the debris. A starfish arm erupts from the wreckage. Then another. Then 3 more. Starro hauls itself free from Jotunheim's grave, shaking off building material like an animal shedding water. The creature stands fully upright. Uncontained, unrestrained, free for the first time since 1991. Its massive eye surveys Valle del Mar beyond the fortress, a city full of people, a population that has never seen an alien threat. Starro's body begins pulsing, and small starfish, tiny duplicates of itself, start budding from its surface, falling to the ground like raindrops, the spores. The mind control method the thinker described. Starro is preparing to turn Corto Maltese's entire population into extensions of its will. Waller's voice crackles over their comms. She's been watching via satellite. Mission status? Bloodsport looks at the rising creature, at the spreading spores, at his exhausted team. Project Starfish is destroyed, he says flatly. Then extract. Your job is done. Waller, there's a situation. Not my problem. Return to the extraction point. That's an order. Bloodsport looks at Ratcatcher 2. She's still holding the drive with evidence that could expose decades of government crimes. They could run, get off this island, let Starro do whatever it wants to Corto Maltese while they escape with their lives. That's what the old Bloodsport would do, the mercenary who cared only about survival and payment. But Flag died protecting something bigger than orders, died believing some things matter more than following commands. Bloodsport makes his decision. Waller, he says into the comm, respectfully, screw your orders, we're stopping that thing. He cuts the connection before she can respond. Probably just signed his own death warrant, but if he's dying, might as well die doing something that matters. The Suicide Squad faces Starro the Conqueror. 4 criminals and 1 grieving scientist against an alien entity that's about to enslave a city. Terrible odds, impossible mission, exactly their specialty. Starro doesn't roar, doesn't announce itself. The creature simply begins moving toward Valle del Mar, each step covering 20 feet, crushing vehicles and equipment beneath its massive limbs. The mini starfish spread outward from its body like seeds from a dandelion. hundreds of them, each one about the size of a dinner plate, scuttling on 5 tiny arms. They move with disturbing speed, swarming across the ground toward any living thing they can find. A Corto Maltese soldier stands frozen, watching the approaching swarm. His rifle hangs uselessly at his side. What do you shoot? How do you fight something like this? A mini starfish leaps at his face. He tries to swat it away, but the creature latches on, wrapping its arms around his skull. The soldier screams, thrashes, falls to his knees. When he stands again, his eyes are blank, milk white, no consciousness behind them. He's gone, replaced by something wearing his body. The soldier turns and walks toward the city in perfect synchronization with Starro's movements. More soldiers fall, then resistance fighters, then civilians who were fleeing the battle. Each person infected becomes another puppet in Starro's growing army. "We need to go," the Thinker says, his voice pitched high with terror. "Now, before those things reach us." Bloodsport watches the infection spread. Does the math. Hundreds already converted, thousands potentially at risk if Starro reaches the populated areas. "How do we stop it?" The Thinker laughs, a sound close to hysteria. "Stop it? You can't stop it. The experiments proved Starro's regeneration capabilities are extraordinary. It survived electrical shocks that would kill elephants, toxins that dissolve steel, 30 years of attempts to damage or control it, and nothing worked." Harley twirls her javelin nervously. "So we're just supposed to let it take over the whole city?" "The whole island," the Thinker corrects. "Then the mainland once it runs out of hosts here. Starro reproduces exponentially. Within a week, it could control millions." King Shark processes this slowly. "But people are friends. Can't let starfish hurt friends." Ratcatcher 2 clutches Sebastian, her face streaked with tears and dust. She's still processing Flag's death, still holding the drive he died to protect. "We have to try something." Polka Dot Man shakes his head, seeing his mother's face everywhere he looks. On Starro, on the infected people, on his teammates. "We're going to die here. I've always known I'd die scared and useless." "Shut up," Bloodsport snaps. "Not cruel, just cutting through the spiral of despair. Flag died giving us a choice. We can run, save ourselves, let this thing destroy everything. Or we make his death mean something." Sol Soria approaches from where her resistance fighters are regrouping. Half her people are gone dead or infected. The survivors look shell-shocked. She surveys the chaos, the creature moving toward her city, and her expression hardens into determination. "My people will evacuate civilians," she says. "Buy time for you to find a weakness." "There is no weakness," the Thinker insists. Sol ignores him, focusing on Bloodsport. "You're the dangerous criminals, yes? The impossible missions? Stop that thing." She leaves before anyone can argue, rallying her remaining fighters. They spread out toward Valle del Mar, shouting warnings, trying to create evacuation corridors. It's desperate, probably futile, but they're trying. Bloodsport looks at what's left of his team. A woman who talks to rats, a man-shark with childlike intelligence, a traumatized supervillain who sees his abusive mother everywhere, a chaos agent with a javelin, a terrified scientist, and himself, a mercenary who spent his entire life caring only about money and survival. This is the team that's supposed to save an island. "Ideas?" he asks. "Big Thing has Big Eye," King Shark observes. "Maybe Poke Eye?" "That's not the worst plan," Harley admits. "Big creatures always have weak spots. Movies taught me that." Ratcatcher 2 wipes her eyes. "Sebastian could scout, find vulnerabilities we can't see." Polka Dot Man stares at his hands. "My dots are explosive. If we could get them inside Starro somehow." Bloodsport pieces together a strategy from these fragments. It's not good, barely qualifies as a plan, but it's something. Starro reaches the first residential buildings. Mini starfish pour through windows and doors. Screams echo from inside as families get infected. The creature itself smashes through structures, sending walls crumbling. It's not trying to destroy the city, just moving through it, converting everything in its path. News helicopters circle at a distance. This is being broadcast. The whole world is watching Corto Maltese face an alien invasion. Somewhere, Bloodsport's daughter Tyla is probably seeing this, seeing her father standing at ground zero of an apocalypse. The thought crystallizes something in him. He spent his whole life being a weapon for hire. No morals, no causes, just contracts and payment. His daughter grew up knowing him as a criminal, a man who abandoned her to pursue violence and money. What if, just once, she could see him be something else? Someone who stood his ground when running made more sense, someone who fought for people instead of just himself. We split their attention. Bloodsport says, his voice gaining certainty. Harley, King Shark, you two draw the mini starfish away from civilians. Don't let them spread further into the city. Harley salutes with her javelin. On it, boss. King Shark nods enthusiastically. Save friends! They charge toward the swarm of creatures, and the contrast is almost funny. A woman in torn combat gear and a massive shark man against hundreds of alien parasites. Harley spears mini starfish with precision strikes. King Shark grabs them by handfuls and crushes them. It's not enough to stop the spread, but it slows it down. Ratcatcher, send Sebastian to find weak points, Bloodsport continues. Anywhere Starro's been damaged, any section that looks vulnerable. Cleo whispers to her rat. Sebastian chitters and scurries off, tiny among the destruction. Rats have survived every disaster in human history. If anyone can navigate this nightmare and return with useful intel, it's him. Okadat man, you're our heavy artillery. When we find the weak spot, you hit it with everything you've got. Abner Krill looks up, surprised to be needed. My mother. Your mother isn't here, Bloodsport says firmly. Just us. Just this moment. Can you do it? Polka Dot Man swallows hard, nods once. That leaves the thinker, who's trying to edge away from the group. Bloodsport grabs his collar. You're the expert. 30 years studying that thing. There has to be something useful in all that research. The experiments never found a vulnerability, the thinker protests. Starro adapted to everything, regenerated from every injury. Then we don't injure it from outside, Bloodsport reasons. We attack from inside. The thinker blinks. Inside? Would you even? Understanding dawns. The eye. It's the primary sensory organ, also the entrance to Starro's central nervous system. If something could penetrate through the eye into the brain cavity, could we kill it? Possibly. The brain is the only part that never regenerated during experiments. Damage there might be permanent. A plan forms. Terrible. Suicidal. The kind of plan that gets people killed in spectacular fashion. But it's all they have. Sebastian returns, chittering urgently to Ratcatcher 2. She listens, translating. He found damage. Starro's right arm has scarring from the experiments. Tissue there is weaker. And the eye, there's a tear duct, an opening. Bloodsport's modular weapon shifts through configurations as he thinks. We damage the weak arm, force Starro to lower its guard, then someone gets to the eye and attacks through the tear duct. That someone being who, exactly? The thinker asks. Everyone looks at each other. Who volunteers to climb a 40-foot alien starfish and attack its eye from point-blank range? I'll do it, Ratcatcher 2 says quietly. No, Bloodsport replies immediately. You're holding the evidence. That can't die with you. I'll go, Polka Dot Man offers. I've wanted to do something heroic my whole life. Maybe this is it. Before anyone can respond, an explosion rocks the street. Starro has reached Valle del Mar's central plaza. The creature plants itself in the middle of the square, and its body pulses. Thousands of mini starfish burst from its surface in a grotesque wave of reproduction. They spread in every direction, into buildings, down alleyways, through sewers. The infection rate accelerates exponentially, screams multiply. Within minutes, hundreds more people fall under Starro's control. The controlled citizens gather in the plaza surrounding their master, a human shield of blank-eyed puppets. Soldiers, civilians, children, all standing in perfect formation, all staring at nothing with those horrible white eyes. News footage broadcasts this globally. The world watches Corto Maltese become a horror show. Governments scramble. The United Nations holds emergency sessions. Military forces mobilize. But they're too far away. Too slow. By the time help arrives, the island will be completely converted. Bloodsport activates his calm, knowing Waller is listening despite his earlier dismissal. You seen this? Her voice comes through cold. I'm authorizing an airstrike. Corto Maltese will be sterilized within the hour. There are thousands of innocent people here. Thousands of infected hosts, Waller corrects. The contamination can't spread to the mainland. I'm protecting the greater good. She's going to bomb the entire island. Kill everyone infected and survivors alike to contain Starro. It's ruthless, practical, exactly what Waller does best. Give us 1 hour, Bloodsport demands. You can't win this. Probably not, but we're trying anyway. 1 hour, Waller. Then you can drop whatever you want. Silence. Then, 55 minutes, not a second more. The connection cuts. Bloodsport checks his watch. Clock's ticking. Harley and King Shark rejoin the group, both covered in starfish gore. We can't hold them back, Harley reports. Too many. They just keep coming. Starro looms in the plaza, surrounded by its army of converted humans. The massive eye stares across the city it's claiming. claiming territory it sees as rightfully its own after 3 decades of imprisonment. The creature hasn't spoken, doesn't communicate in any way humans recognize, but its intentions are clear. Convert everything, spread, grow, take what was denied during those long years in a tank. Bloodsport looks at his team, really looks at them. A week ago they were strangers forced together by bombs in their necks. Now they're all that stands between an alien conqueror and global catastrophe. Waller's sending bombers, he tells them. We've got less than an hour to kill that thing or everyone on this island dies. Polka Dot Man laughs bitterly. We're criminals. Why should we care? Because Rick Flag cared, Ratcatcher 2 says. Because he died believing some things matter more than survival. King Shark considers this. Friends matter more than survival. Exactly, Cleo agrees. Harley spins her javelin. Also, dying fighting a giant alien starfish is way cooler than dying in prison. Just saying. Bloodsport makes a decision, probably the first truly selfless one of his entire life. We're doing this, not for Waller, not for our sentences, for every person in that plaza who deserves a chance to wake up from this nightmare. He starts walking towards Starro, towards certain death, towards something that resembles heroism. The Suicide Squad follows, because sometimes criminals are the only heroes available, and sometimes that has to be enough. Bloodsport fires first. His weapon configuration shifts to armor-piercing rounds, targeting the scarred section of Starro's right arm, Sebastian identified. Bullets tear through weakened tissue. The creature's massive limb flinches, pulling back slightly. Starro's response is immediate. The infected humans surge forward as one, a wave of controlled bodies moving to protect their master. Hundreds of people charging with no regard for their own safety. Non-lethal, Bloodsport shouts. These aren't enemies, they're victims. Harley switches her approach, using the javelin's shaft to strike pressure points in joints. People drop unconscious instead of dead. King Shark grabs clusters of infected citizens and gently pins them down, his massive strength making their struggles useless. He apologizes to each one, genuinely distressed about hurting the friends even though they can't hear him. Polka Dot Man hangs back, hands trembling. His mother's face stares at him from every infected person, every surface, every shadow. The hallucinations have plagued him since childhood, products of her experiments that gave him powers and destroyed his sanity simultaneously. Ratcatcher 2 notices his paralysis. Abner, we need you. I can't. She's everywhere. She's dead, Cleo says firmly, moving to his side. What you see isn't real. What's real is us, right here, right now. We need your power. Polka Dot Man looks at her, sees his mother's face superimposed over her features, but also sees past it. Sees the young woman who's shown him more kindness in 3 days than he received in years of imprisonment. I'm a superhero, he whispers to himself, testing the words. I'm a motherfucking superhero. His hands stop shaking. The polka dots manifest across his skin, glowing with explosive potential. He steps forward, targeting Starro's damaged arm with a barrage of projectiles. The dots detonate on impact, each explosion tearing away chunks of alien flesh. Starro recoils, its massive eye focusing on this new threat. The creature's arm whips toward Polka Dot Man with terrifying speed. Bloodsport tackles him out of the path. The limb slams into the ground where Abner stood a second earlier, cracking pavement and sending shockwaves through the plaza. Keep hitting the arm, Bloodsport orders, rolling to his feet. Damage it enough and Starro will have to adjust position. They coordinate their assault. Bloodsport's precision shooting, Polka Dot Man's explosive dots, Harley dancing through the infected crowds to strike at the weakened limb with her javelin. King Shark using his raw strength to physically tear at the damaged tissue. Starro's arm begins to fail. The scarring prevents proper regeneration. Each wound compounds the previous one. The limb can't support the creature's massive weight anymore. Starro shifts, trying to compensate, and the movement forces its body lower. The eye, that massive, intelligent eye, drops to within reach. Now! Bloodsport shouts. Harley sprints forward, using an infected person's back as a springboard to launch herself upward. She drives her javelin toward the eye's tear duct, the opening Sebastian identified. The weapon punches through the membrane, sinking deep into Starro's ocular structure. The creature convulses. A sound erupts from somewhere in its biology. Not quite a scream, but close. Pain. Real pain for the first time since the battle started. Harley yanks the javelin free and drops back to the ground. Alien ichor pours from the wound, steaming where it hits the pavement. The eye swivels, tracking her, and pure hatred radiates from that gaze. Starro's remaining good arms sweep across the plaza, no more measured responses. This is rage. One limb catches Harley and sends her flying. She crashes through a storefront window, disappearing in an explosion of glass. "Harley!" King Shark roars, starting toward her. "Stay on target!" Bloodsport commands, though worry tightens his voice too. Polka Dot Man continues his assault, dots flying faster now. Each explosion chips away at Starro's defenses. The eye wound leaks more fluid. The creature is hurting, genuinely vulnerable, but it's also learning, adapting. Starro's body pulses and more mini starfish erupt outward, thousands of them this time. They blanket the ground, swarming toward the squad with single-minded purpose. Ratcatcher 2 closes her eyes, concentrating. Her gift isn't flashy, can't blow holes in buildings or shrug off bullets. She just talks to rats, befriends vermin that everyone else fears or ignores. Now, she calls them. Every rat in Valle del Mar, every sewer, every alley, every hidden nest. She summons them with desperate urgency. They come. A tide of brown and gray fur flowing from drainage grates and broken buildings. Thousands of rats responding to her plea. They intercept the mini starfish, overwhelming the alien creatures through sheer numbers, teeth and claws versus starfish arms. The swarm battles the swarm. King Shark rejoins the fight against Starro itself, climbing one of the creature's massive limbs. Sylvester Stallone's voice work captures childlike determination as the character ascends. "Friends need help! King Shark, help friends!" He reaches Starro's central disc and bites down, shark teeth piercing alien hide. Starro thrashes, trying to shake him off. King Shark holds on, tearing away chunks of flesh, working his way toward the damaged eye. Bloodsport provides covering fire, his weapon cycling through ammunition types, explosive rounds, incendiary rounds, anything to keep Starro off balance while his teammates position themselves. Polka Dot Man stands in the plaza center, both hands extended, firing dots in a continuous stream. He's laughing now, tears running down his face. "I'm a superhero! I'm actually doing it!" His mother's face still overlays everything he sees, but now he uses it. Channels decades of pain and trauma into pure offensive power. Every dot that flies toward Starro carries years of abuse, experimentation, psychological torture. This is his therapy, explosive and violent and finally meaningful. Starro's remaining healthy arm sweeps toward him. Polka Dot Man sees it coming, doesn't dodge, just keeps firing, determined to land as much damage as possible before the inevitable. "Abner, move!" Ratcatcher 2 screams. He doesn't. The arm catches him full force, lifting him off the ground. For a moment he's airborne, still firing dots even as he flies. Then Starro brings him down, slams him into the pavement with the full weight of its massive limb. The impact is catastrophic. Polka Dot Man's body crumples. When Starro lifts the arm, Abner Krill lies motionless in a crater of broken concrete. Ratcatcher 2 runs to him, rats parting around her feet. She reaches him and drops to her knees. His eyes are open, staring up at the sky. Blood trickles from his mouth. He manages weakly. "Did I do good?" "You were a superhero," Cleo tells him, crying openly. A real one. He smiles. David Dasmalkian's character dies, having finally achieved what he always wanted, to be seen as heroic instead of pathetic. To matter, his body goes still. The polka dot manifestations on his skin fade and disappear. Bloodsport feels the loss like a physical blow. 2 teammates dead now. Flag and Polka Dot Man gone. The mission's cost keeps mounting. But Polka Dot Man's sacrifice bought them something. Starro's central disc is damaged, cracks web across its surface. The eye wound continues bleeding ichor. King Shark still clings to its body, biting and tearing. Harley emerges from the destroyed storefront, limping but alive. Blood mats her hair. She's lost the javelin in the throw, but her hands find broken rebar in the rubble. Improvised weapons. That's her specialty. She sees Polka Dot Man's body, sees Ratcatcher 2 grieving. Her expression hardens into something cold and furious. "Hey, Starfish!" she shouts at Starro. "You just killed one of ours!" The creature's eye focuses on her. Harley sprints forward, dodging infected citizens, weaving through the chaos. She's not thinking tactically. This is pure rage channeled into violence. She reaches Starro's base and starts climbing, uses cracks in its hide as handholds. The creature tries to shake her off, but she's too small, too agile. She ascends toward the damaged eye, toward the wound she created with the javelin. King Shark sees her approach and understands instinctively. He positions himself above the eye and tears at the flesh, widening the opening Harley's javelin created. Bloodsport realizes what they're attempting. Ratcatcher, quote, "We need something inside that eye, through to the brain." Cleo looks up from Polka Dot Man's body, processing through her grief. Inside Starro, into the brain cavity, something small enough to fit through the tear duct but deadly enough to kill. Rats, hundreds of them, thousands, she concentrates, calling her army. The rats disengage from fighting mini starfish and converge on Starro's wounded eye. They flow up the creature's body like a river, following Harley's path. Harley reaches the eye and drives her rebar weapon into the tear duct, prying it wider. Alien membranes tear. The opening becomes a hole. She can see inside pulsing tissue, neural pathways, the biological machinery that keeps Starro functioning. "Send them in!" she shouts down to Ratcatcher 2. The rats swarm through the opening. Hundreds at first, then thousands. They pour into Starro's eye socket, disappearing into the creature's interior. Ratcatcher 2 guides them through her gift, directing them deeper, toward the brain tissue. The thinker said never regenerated. And Starro realizes the danger. Its thrashing becomes frantic, desperate. The infected humans collapse as the creature's control wavers. All of its focus shifts to internal defense, trying to purge the invasion. But rats are survivors, adaptable, relentless. They find the brain cavity and begin their work. Biting, gnawing, destroying neural tissue faster than Starro can compensate. The creature's movements become erratic, uncoordinated. One arm spasms and crashes into a building. Another drags uselessly across the ground. Harley loses her grip and falls. King Shark catches her mid-air, cradling her surprisingly gently as he leaps down from Starro's collapsing body. The massive eye that has stared at them with such intelligence and hatred begins to glaze over, the light behind it fading. Starro the Conqueror, freed from 30 years of captivity only to live a few hours, starts to die. The creature sways, tries to take a step but can't coordinate its limbs anymore. It topples sideways like a felled tree, the impact shaking the entire plaza. Starro lies on its side, the massive body still. The eye stares at nothing, and from somewhere in its alien biology, words emerge. English, learned from 3 decades listening to scientists. "I was happy, floating, staring at the stars." The voice is childlike, innocent, a being that existed peacefully in space until humans captured it, imprisoned it, tortured it for knowledge. Those are its last words. Starro the Conqueror dies not with threats or curses, but with a simple statement of what was taken from it. Infected citizens throughout Valley Del Mar collapse as the connection severs. The mini starfish fall from their faces, dead without the parent creature's support. Thousands of people lie unconscious in streets, homes, buildings. Victims finally freed. The Suicide Squad stands in the ruined plaza, surrounded by destruction. Harley leans against King Shark. Bloodsport lowers his weapon. Ratcatcher 2 remains beside Polka Dot Man's body, one hand on his chest. The thinker emerges from where he's been hiding, staring at Starro's corpse in disbelief. You actually killed it." Bloodsport checks his watch. 42 minutes since Waller's ultimatum, 13 minutes to spare before the bombing run. He activates his comm. Waller, threat neutralized. Silence. Then, confirmed, stand by for extraction. The bombers won't come. Corto Maltese is saved. Bloodsport looks at his team. What's left of them? They're criminals, the worst society had to offer. But today, they were something else. Today, they were heroes. News helicopters descend on Valley Del Mar like vultures. Camera crews emerge from hiding spots throughout the city, broadcasting Starro's corpse to the entire world. The footage goes viral within minutes. A giant alien starfish lying dead in a plaza, defeated by 4 criminals and a scientist. Citizens begin waking up, confused, traumatized. The last thing most remember is a mini starfish leaping at their faces, then nothing. Hours stolen from their lives. They stumble through streets littered with debris and alien remains, trying to piece together what happened. Sol Soria's resistance fighters move through the chaos, providing aid and establishing order. The government's military structure collapsed with Luna's assassination and Starro's rampage. The power vacuum leaves Corto Maltese without leadership. Sol seizes the moment, addressing crowds through megaphones and commandeered radio stations. "The dictatorship is over," she announces. "Luna is dead. His regime is finished. We will hold democratic elections within 60 days. The people will choose their future." Cheers erupt from citizens who've lived under authoritarian rule their entire lives. The revolution Harley accidentally started by killing Luna has transformed into something bigger, something hopeful. Bloodsport watches from the plaza's edge, weapon finally lowered. His comm crackles with Waller's voice. Extraction team is inbound. 10 minutes. Understood, he replies flatly. Ratcatcher 2 still kneels beside Polka Dot Man's body. She stopped crying but hasn't moved. Sebastian sits on Abner's chest, a tiny mourner for a man who finally became the hero he always dreamed of being. Harley limps over and sits beside her. He saved us. All those dots he fired weakened Starro enough for the rest to work. He thought he was worthless, Cleo says quietly. His whole life, people told him he was nothing, a mistake. A victim of his mother's experiments. He died proving them wrong, Harley offers. That's not nothing. King Shark lumbers over, confused by the grief. Friend sleeping? Yeah, buddy, Harley says gently. He's sleeping. King Shark accepts this explanation, though he sits down beside the body like he's keeping watch, protecting his sleeping friend. The Thinker tries to slip away during this moment. Bloodsport catches his shoulder without even looking. Where do you think you're going? I provided assistance, identified the weak points. Surely that earns me. You tortured an intelligent creature for 30 years. Bloodsport cuts him off. Experimented on people. You don't get to walk away. Solsoria approaches with several armed resistance fighters. We'll take custody of him. Dr. Greaves has much to answer for. The Thinker pales. You can't. I have rights. So did your test subjects, Sol says coldly. Her fighters take him away. Peter Capaldi's character exits the story in handcuffs, headed for trials that will expose decades of atrocities. Emergency vehicles flood the plaza. Ambulances for the injured, recovery teams for the dead. Valle Del Mar begins the long process of healing from trauma that will take years to fully process. A reporter approaches the squad, camera crew in tow. She's breathless with excitement and terror. You're the Suicide Squad, yes? The American criminals? You saved us? Bloodsport considers how to answer. They're murderers, thieves, people with bombs in their necks who had no choice about being here. Calling them heroes feels wrong. But Harley grabs the microphone. We're the Suicide Squad. And yeah, we saved your city. You're welcome. The interview broadcasts globally. Within the hour, the footage spreads across every news network and social media platform. The world watches these criminals stand amid destruction they prevented, covered in blood and alien ichor. In Belle Reve Penitentiary, inmates crowd around televisions, watching their former cellmates become famous. In government offices, politicians scramble to create narratives. In a suburban home in the United States, a teenage girl named Tyla watches her father on screen. Bloodsport doesn't know it yet, but his daughter is seeing him differently, not as the criminal who abandoned her, as the man who stayed when running made more sense, who fought a monster to save strangers. The extraction helicopter arrives, military, American flags on the side, Waller's team coming to collect her assets. The squad boards silently, leaving Valle Del Mar behind. Harley takes one last look at the city, at the palace where she killed Luna, at the plaza where Starro fell. Weird week, she comments. King Shark nods enthusiastically. Made new friends! The helicopter lifts off. Below, Sol Soria organizes her resistance into a transitional government. Corto Maltese begins its first steps toward democracy. The island that was a footnote in geopolitics suddenly becomes a symbol of revolution and renewal. The flight back to the United States takes hours. Nobody talks much. Exhaustion hits hard once the adrenaline fades. Ratcatcher 2 clutches the data drive containing evidence of Jotunheim's crimes. Bloodsport stares at nothing. Harley dozes off, head on King Shark's massive shoulder. They land at a secure military facility. Waller waits on the tarmac, flanked by armed guards and looking furious. Viola Davis channels that cold rage perfectly as they approach. You disobeyed direct orders, she says without preamble. Endangered the mission, got 2 team members killed. Bloodsport steps forward. We saved an island, stopped an alien invasion. I'd say that's mission success. Your mission was to destroy Project Starfish quietly. Instead, you created an international incident broadcast globally. The U.S. government's involvement in Jotunheim is under investigation by a dozen countries. Good, Bloodsport replies. He nods to Ratcatcher 2. She holds up the drive. Waller's eyes narrow. What is that? Every classified file from Jotunheim. 30 years of illegal experiments, torture, human testing, all documented, with American government logos on half the paperwork. The guards raise their weapons. Waller raises a hand, stopping them. You're threatening me? Offering a deal, Bloodsport corrects. You drop all charges against my daughter Tyla. Release the 4 of us with full pardons, and this drive gets destroyed. Otherwise, it gets uploaded to every news organization and government on the planet. Waller's jaw tightens. She's calculating, weighing options. The drive's contents would destroy careers, topple administrations, spark international crises. But giving in to blackmail from criminals sets a dangerous precedent. You'll be hunted for the rest of your lives, she warns. Better than being your weapons for the rest of our lives, Bloodsport counters. Standoff. Waller could order her guards to open fire, kill them all and retrieve the drive. But Bloodsport's already uploaded a copy to a secure server with dead man switches. Ratcatcher 2 set it up during the flight. If they don't check in regularly, the files release automatically. Waller recognizes checkmate when she sees it. Tyla's charges will be dropped, you'll be released, but the bombs stay in your necks, insurance against stupidity. Deal. She gestures and technicians approach with devices that scan each squad member's neck. The bombs don't get removed, but they get deactivated. No more remote detonation. The leash is cut, even if the collar remains. Harley grins. We're free. Conditionally, Waller says coldly. Step out of line and I'll reactivate those devices personally. Yeah, Harley waves dismissively. Heard it before. They're processed out. Given civilian clothes to replace their bloodstained tactical gear. Offered transportation to wherever they want to go. The transition from weapons to free citizens happens bureaucratically, papers signed and databases updated. Bloodsport requests to see his daughter. The government arranges it, a supervised meeting in a secure location. Tyla arrives escorted by social workers, and when she sees her father, something shifts in her expression. She saw the news, watched him fight a monster. Hey, baby girl, he says awkwardly. She doesn't run to him. The years of abandonment can't be erased by one heroic act. But she does approach, does allow him to hug her. It's a start. You look different on TV, Tyla says. Like, I don't know, like you cared about something besides yourself. I'm trying, Bloodsport admits. Gonna keep trying, she nods. They talk for an hour, rebuilding a relationship that's been broken most of her life. When they part, it's with plans to meet again. Therapy sessions. Slow steps toward being a father instead of just a DNA donor. Harley Quinn disappears within hours of release. Nobody's surprised. She leaves a note in the facility's cafeteria, gone to find new adventures. Try not to miss me too much. HQ, with a heart drawn in ketchup. She's probably already causing chaos somewhere else. King Shark gets placed in a supervised marine sanctuary. He's too dangerous for general population, but too innocent to keep imprisoned. Scientists study him. He seems happy, mostly because they feed him constantly and don't shoot at him. He asks about his friends often. Ratcatcher 2 stays with Bloodsport for a few days, processing everything. They're bonded now, trauma forged into connection. She eventually leaves to find her own path, but they exchange numbers. Promise to stay in touch. What will you do? She asks before departing. Be better, Bloodsport says simply. For Tyla. For myself. She smiles and leaves, Sebastian on her shoulder, a young woman with the power to command vermin who just helps save the world. Bloodsport destroys the drive personally after confirming Waller held up her end. The evidence burns, secrets protected. Some might call that wrong justice delayed or denied, but Flag died protecting that information. Making the choice to destroy it honors his sacrifice by choosing people over revenge. Weeks later, news reports surface. Peacemaker survived Jotunheim's collapse and Bloodsport's bullet. He's in a hospital, critical condition but stable. The government is already planning his next deployment. Some people never change. Weasel, forgotten by everyone, wakes up on the beach where he drowned during the initial assault. Water coughs from his lungs. He stands, confused, and shambles into the jungle. He's alive somehow. Where he goes, nobody knows. Probably better that way. Corto Maltese holds elections 2 months after Staro's defeat, so Soria wins in a landslide. Her first act as presidente, is dismantling the military junta and establishing democratic institutions. Her second is building a memorial in the plaza where Polka Dot Man died, a statue of a man throwing polka dots at the sky. The plaque reads, Abner Krill, hero! The Suicide Squad scatters to the winds. Their story becomes legend, argued over in internet forums and documentary films. Were they heroes? Villains who did one good thing? The answer probably lies somewhere in between. Bloodsport visits Tyla every week. They're building something. Trust, family. It's slow, difficult work, harder than fighting alien conquerors. But he keeps showing up, keeps trying. Late at night sometimes he thinks about Flag, about Polka Dot Man, about how close they all came to dying on that island. He thinks about Waller's voice offering extraction, offering escape, and he thinks about choosing to stay, to fight, to matter. Maybe that's what makes someone a hero. Not powers or destiny, just the choice to stand when falling seems easier, to protect strangers when protecting yourself makes more sense. The Suicide Squad made that choice, and for 1 week on a forgotten island, they were exactly what the world needed. The Suicide Squad works because James Gunn understood something fundamental that the 2016 film missed. You can't force characters to be cool, you have to let them be broken first. David Ayer's 2016 Suicide Squad tried selling its cast as the baddest people on the planet, slapping neon aesthetics and pop songs over shallow characterization. The result felt hollow, manufactured. Gunn took the opposite approach. His characters are losers, rejects, the kind of villains who couldn't even get A-list hero status in their criminal careers. Polka Dot Man throws polka dots. Ratcatcher 2 controls rats. These aren't intimidating powers, they're ridiculous. And that's exactly why they work. Gunn embraces the absurdity while treating the characters with genuine respect. Polka Dot Man's power might be silly, but his trauma is real. His desperate need to prove he's worth something resonates emotionally, even while the visual of polka dots exploding maintains comic energy. The film walks this tightrope brilliantly. Funny without being cynical, emotional without being manipulative. The opening beach massacre establishes the rules immediately. This isn't a typical superhero film where plot armor protects the recognizable faces. Michael Rooker, Jai Courtney, actors with name recognition, die within 10 minutes. The movie signals that nobody is safe, that expectations mean nothing here. When Team B gets introduced afterward, we're genuinely uncertain about their survival chances. That tension carries through the entire runtime. Bloodsport's arc forms the emotional spine. Idris Elba plays him with exhausted professionalism, a man who's spent so long being a weapon that he's forgotten how to be anything else. His relationship with daughter Tyla provides stakes beyond just survival. He's not fighting to escape punishment or earn freedom. Those are benefits, sure, but the real prize is becoming someone his daughter can respect. That journey from selfish mercenary to selfless protector happens gradually, earned through small moments rather than dramatic speeches. The Flag versus Peacemaker fight hits harder than most superhero film climaxes because it's not about cosmic stakes or world-ending weapons, it's philosophical. Flag believes truth matters more than national security. Peacemaker believes America's interests supersede individual morality. Both positions have logic. Both men are committed to their principles. When Peacemaker kills Flag, it's not villainy, it's tragedy. Two good men with incompatible worldviews reaching the only conclusion violence allows. John Cena's performance deserves recognition. Peacemaker could have been a joke, a parody of toxic patriotism. Cena plays him straight, finding the human underneath the absurdist helmet. His Peacemaker genuinely believes he's the hero. The twisted logic that allows him to murder Flag while claiming to cherish peace isn't hypocrisy to him, it's commitment. The character is funny and terrifying and sad all at once. That complexity makes him memorable enough to earn his own HBO series. Harley Quinn finally gets a proper arc here. Margot Robbie has played this character 3 times before the Suicide Squad, and each previous film struggled with what to do with her beyond eye candy and chaos. Gunn gives her agency. Her decision to kill Luna isn't impulsive violence, it's pattern recognition. She's been in toxic relationships, spotted the red flag she once ignored with the Joker. Her growth is realizing she deserves better than men who treat her like property. The palace escape sequence is visually spectacular, but it's narratively meaningful. She's breaking free from cycles of abuse, one dead dictator at a time. Ratcatcher 2 stands as the heart. Daniela Melchior brings warmth and vulnerability that grounds the team's dysfunction. Her backstory, the daughter of a criminal who was nonetheless a loving father, complicates the film's morality. Are these people evil, or are they products of circumstances, trauma, and bad choices? Cleo represents redemption's possibility. She's the one who reminds everyone they can choose to be better. The past actions don't define future worth. King Shark could have been pure comedy relief. Sylvester Stallone's voice work and the character design lean into the absurdity of a humanoid shark wearing pants and eating people. But Gunn finds pathos there too. King Shark's childlike desire for friendship, his confusion about social norms, his genuine hurt when people reject him. These elements create sympathy alongside the laughs. When he asks, "Friends?" repeatedly, it's funny. It's also heartbreaking. He's a monster seeking connection in a world that fears him. Polka Dot Man's journey from self-loathing to heroic sacrifice resonates because David Dastmalchian commits fully. The mother hallucinations could be cheap comedy. Instead, they're horror. Visual representations of trauma that won't heal, abuse that rewired his brain's perception, Olpert, his final moments, laughing and crying while calling himself a superhero, land with emotional weight because we've seen his desperate need for validation. He dies fulfilled, having finally proven his worth. Starro works as an antagonist precisely because it's not evil. The creature is a victim, tortured for decades by the same people claiming to be heroes. Its rampage through Valley Del Mar isn't conquest, it's revenge mixed with fear. The dying words, "I was happy floating, staring at the stars," recontextualize everything. Humanity encountered something alien and wonderful, and our first instinct was to imprison and torture it. The squad's mission throughout the film aimed to destroy a weapon. By the end, they're executing someone who deserved rescue instead. That moral complexity elevates the Suicide Squad above typical superhero fare. There are no clean victories. Flag dies doing the right thing, but his death accomplishes nothing. Bloodsport destroys the evidence anyway to protect his daughter. Peacemaker survives and will presumably continue committing atrocities in America's name. Starro dies having experienced brief freedom and continuing suffering. Polka Dot Man and Flag get heroic ends, but they're still dead. The team wins, but the cost is brutal. James Gunn's direction balances tones that should clash. Graphic violence happens alongside slapstick comedy. Emotional character moments interrupt action sequences. The film zigs when you expect it to zag, maintaining unpredictability throughout. The R rating allows consequences. Blood flows. People die messily. Actions have weight because the sanitized Marvel approach isn't available. The soundtrack deserves mention. Where 2016 Suicide Squad used recognizable songs as crutches for emotional beats, Gunn integrates music organically. Tracks comment on action, enhance atmosphere, or provide ironic counterpoint. The choices feel considered rather than focus grouped. Visually, the film is gorgeous. Each frame bursts with color and composition. Jotunheim's brutalist architecture, Valle del Mar's colonial aesthetics, the neon chaos of Harley's palace escape. Starro's horrifying beauty. Cinematographer Henry Bram and Gunn create memorable imagery throughout. The polka dots exploding against Starro look absurd and awesome simultaneously. The humor works because it comes from character rather than quips. When King Shark says hand while reaching to hold someone's hand, it's funny because it reveals his simple desire for connection. When Harley explains she killed Luna because of red flags, it's funny because it reduces dictator slang to relationship advice. The comedy flows naturally from who these people are rather than writers forcing jokes into the script. That said, the film isn't perfect. The pacing sags slightly in the second act. The mission planning sequences, while necessary, lack the energy of the beach massacre or Harley's escape. Sol Soria's resistance gets underdeveloped. Alice Braga brings gravitas, but the character deserves more screen time given her importance to the plot. The Thinker serves his function, but Peter Capaldi is talented enough that giving him more to do would have strengthened the film. Some viewers might find the violence excessive. Gunn doesn't shy away from gore. Bodies explode. People get torn apart. The R rating is hard. If graphic content bothers you, this film will test your limits. Personally, I think the violence serves the story. These are killers. Showing sanitized action would betray the premise. The film's politics are worth examining. American imperialism gets criticized directly. The US government funds illegal experiments, tortures sentient beings, and prioritizes cover-ups over justice. Waller represents institutional evil, smart, competent, utterly ruthless. She'll sacrifice anyone to maintain power. The film doesn't offer solutions, but it clearly identifies the problem. Authority figures using patriotism to justify atrocities. Systems prioritizing reputation over morality. Whether that commentary lands depends on your perspective. Some see it as heavy-handed. I think it's refreshingly direct. Superhero films often gesture at political themes without committing. The Suicide Squad commits. It says America's government does terrible things in darkness and punishes whistleblowers for exposing them. That's not subtle, but subtlety isn't always the goal. The ending's emotional beats work because we've spent 2 hours with these characters. When Polka Dot Man dies, we mourn. When Bloodsport reunites with Tyla, we feel hope. When the team scatters, we're satisfied, but melancholy. They're criminals who did one heroic thing. That doesn't erase their past, but it matters. Small redemptions count even when they don't fix everything. Comparing this to other DC Extended Universe films highlights Gunn's achievement. Most DCEU entries feel obligated to set up sequels, tease future films, build connected universes. The Suicide Squad tells its story and ends. Yes, Peacemaker surviving leads to his series, but that feels organic rather than mandated. The film stands alone beautifully. You don't need homework to understand or enjoy it. The post-credits scene with Weasel is perfect tonally. After all the death and sacrifice, we get a joke. The creature everyone thought drowned wakes up and shambles into the jungle. It's funny, weird, and completely unnecessary. Classic gun-finding humor in the margins, never taking things so seriously that joy becomes impossible. Thematically, the film explores redemption's nature. Can people change? Do past actions define future worth? The answer the film offers is complicated. Yes, people can change. Bloodsport becomes better, but change requires choice and effort. And even genuine growth doesn't erase consequences. Flag and Polka Dot Man grow into heroes and die anyway. Heroism isn't rewarded with survival. It's valuable regardless of outcome. The found family element resonates. These characters are forced together by bombs and blackmail. They become family through shared trauma and mutual protection. When Ratcatcher 2 says Harley would come for them, she's right. By the film's end, they die for each other. Not because explosives force compliance, but because connection was built through fire and blood. The Suicide Squad succeeds where its predecessor failed by understanding what makes stories work. Characters we care about, stakes we believe, humor that arises organically, consequences, themes explored honestly, visual creativity, performances given room to breathe. Gunn delivered all of this while maintaining his distinctive voice. Is it the best comic book movie ever made? That's subjective, but it's definitely one of the most purely entertaining. It takes massive swings and lands nearly all of them. The violence is creative. The comedy hits. The emotion feels earned. The action sequences pop. The characters stick with you after the credits roll. If I'm being critical, I'd argue the film could have explored Starro's perspective more. We get that dying line, which is beautiful and tragic. But imagine sequences from the creature's point of view. Show us its capture, its decades of torture, its confusion and pain. That would have made its rampage even more complex morally. But that's me wanting more of what I loved rather than criticizing what's there. The Suicide Squad reminds us that superhero films can be weird, can take risks, can kill main characters and embrace hard RR violence and criticize America and still be crowd pleasers. Studios often play it safe, sanding off rough edges to maximize appeal. Gunn kept the edges sharp. The film is better for it. Watching this, you can tell everyone involved was having fun. The actors are clearly enjoying themselves. The crew lavished attention on visuals. Gunn wrote dialogue that actors want to perform. That energy transmits to viewers. The film radiates joy even while depicting horrible violence and tragic deaths. It's a magic trick Gunn has mastered, making you grin while your heart breaks. The Suicide Squad earned its place in the superhero pantheon by refusing to be like everything else. It's violent, weird, funny, sad, political, and thoroughly entertaining. It respects its audience enough to deliver complexity alongside spectacle. And it proved that DC properties can work when given to filmmakers with vision and freedom to execute that vision. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Suicide Squad, hit that like button and subscribe for more long-form movie breakdowns. Drop a comment telling me which Suicide Squad member you'd want on your team in a crisis, and no, you can't pick the dead ones. I'm curious who resonated with you most and why. Thanks for sticking with me through this entire journey. We covered beach massacres, palace escapes, alien starfish, and found families. We talked about themes, character arcs, and why polka dots can be legitimately cool when deployed correctly. Whether you're Team Flag or Team Peacemaker, whether you cried at Polka Dot Man's death or just enjoyed watching a shark eat people, I appreciate you spending this time exploring what makes this film special. Until next time, remember, we're all just trying to be heroes in our own stories. Sometimes that means saving the world. Sometimes it just means showing up for the people who matter. Either way, it counts. This has been The Suicide Squad. Stay weird, stay kind, and I'll see you in the next one.